Welcome to a new video. Today, I'd like to talk about Chart 2-4 in Understanding and Using English Grammar, 5th edition by Betty Azar, and that is talking about present perfect without a length of time. Actually, the chart has another section, and I'll deal with that later, but this is the part that I want to look at now. Before we begin with this, let's quickly review what we learned about present perfect what we learned in the previous videos about present perfect when I use it with a length of time. So for example, if I said Nancy has lived in her house for 10 years. If I say Nancy has lived, present perfect, has lived in her house for 10 years, a length of time, then that means she started living in the house 10 years ago, and she has continued living in the house until now. So when I use present perfect with a length of time, it means the action started in the past. Let me get my hand on screen. And it has continued until now. If you'd like to review that, you can go back and look at the other videos. And yeah, present perfect can be kind of tough, so you might want to do that. Anyway, it could be good. But let's talk about this meaning. Present perfect without a length of time. So we've talked about what present perfect means when I use it with a length of time. It means it starts in the past, continues till now. But what does it mean when I use it without a length of time? The way that I usually teach this to my classes, and I'm afraid I can't do it here, but please imagine. What I will do is I will ask my class, how many people here ate lunch today? And my students will raise their hands, and I'll find a student who ate lunch. Maybe Abdul ate lunch. And I will write on the board, Abdul has eaten lunch. Okay? And then I might ask my students, who here did their homework? And I hope everybody raises their hands, but I'll find a student who raised their hands. They said, yes, I did my homework. And I might say, let me see. I think I need to get a darker marker, because this one is writing very light. So maybe I see that Lupe has raised her hand, so I would write Lupe, and maybe another student. Lupe and Ni have done their homework. And then I might ask another question, like, please raise your hand if you have driven across the Golden Gate Bridge, or please raise your hand if you visited Disneyland. And so maybe I'll find a student who's visited Disneyland, and I'll say, oh, okay. Let's see here. Jorge has visited Disneyland. Now, let's take a look at these sentences and talk about what do they mean. We'll talk about what they mean. Okay, so let's take a look at this first sentence. Abdul has eaten lunch. Okay, so, oh, by the way, I usually teach for many years, I've taught in the evening. And so when I ask this question, it's evening, usually around 7 or 8 o'clock. And so if Abdul has eaten lunch, eat lunch is in the past, okay? So that's one part of the meaning of present perfect. Present perfect, when I use it without a length of time, present perfect with no length of time means that it happened sometime in the past. So let's draw that up here on the board. Abdul has eaten lunch. Now it's evening. Let's say it's 7 o'clock in the evening, 7 p.m. And he has eaten lunch. It happened before now. It happened in the past. That's one part of the meaning when I use present perfect without a length of time. There's another part of the meaning. When I use present perfect without a length of time, it means that it happened in the past, but the time is not clear. Okay, so I'll put a question mark over here, over the X, to show the time is not clear. I'm going to write that on the board because that is the main point that I want you to remember from this video. Let's see here. Oh, let me just do this. No, let me do this. When I use present perfect with no length of time, it means the action happened in the past, but the time is not clear. Okay? So, there's more that I want to talk about what it means, but that's the basic meaning. When I use present perfect with no length of time, it means that it happened in the past, but the time is not clear. Let's take a look at these other examples. Lupe and Yi have done their homework. Okay, so again what this means is that, again, I looked at my class and I said, who did their homework? Lupe and Ni raised their hands, so I know they did their homework before class. They did their homework in the past. So here, again, it means it happens in the past, but I didn't say the time. Just like Abdul has eaten lunch, I don't know the time. Maybe he ate lunch at 1 o'clock. Maybe he ate it at 12:30. Maybe he ate it at 12 o'clock exactly. Maybe he ate it at 11:45. I don't know the time. It happened in the past, but the time is not clear. Here also, Lupe and Ni have done their homework. Again, I know that this happened in the past, but I don't know when they did their homework. I don't know when Lupe did her homework. I don't know when Ni did her homework. So again, it happened in the past, but the time is not clear. And Jorge has visited Disneyland. Again, this action, he visited Disney. He's not visiting Disneyland now because he's sitting in grammar class, right? And we're not talking about the future. So this also happened in the past. And again, I don't know when he visited Disneyland. And so it happened in the past, but the time is not clear. So, main point to have so far. When I use present perfect with no length of time, it almost always, there's an exception. If you want to know the exception, read the book that I published free online. I'll talk to you more about that later probably. But it almost always means that the action happened in the past, but the time is not clear. Okay, I hope that's good. At this point, a student will usually raise their hand and say, how is present perfect with no length of time different from simple past tense? Which is a really good question, okay? I'm going to answer part of that in this video, and I will answer another part of that question in the next video that I do. Yeah, it'll probably be the next video. But let's look at one important difference. So my students, who are always very smart, they might ask, how is Abdul has eaten lunch different from Abdul ate lunch? And that's a really good question, right? Because this happened in the past and this happened in the past. One important difference that you need to know is, well, let me hold on. Let me back up just a little bit. So sometimes I can use both. I could say Abdul has eaten lunch, Abdul ate lunch. So for example, when I asked my class, raise your hand if you ate lunch, and I say, Abdul did. So I could say Abdul ate lunch, Abdul has eaten lunch. And they would both be perfectly correct. They would sound perfectly normal to a speaker of English. There are some differences, and there are times when I can use one and not the other, and we're going to talk mostly about that in the next video. But right now, let me tell you about one big difference. I can say Abdul ate lunch. What did I do with that brown marker? Oh well. I could say Abdul ate lunch at 12 o'clock. Okay? Or let me ask you, if I write this sentence, Abdul ate lunch at 12 o'clock, is that a correct sentence in English? Take a minute, listen to it in your mind, and ask yourself, does that sound like a good sentence? Good grammar in English. Abdul ate lunch at 12 o'clock. Take a moment and think, pause if you want to. Even better, if you're sitting with somebody, talk to them about it. See what you both think. Okay. Here's the answer to the question. Yes, it's a perfectly good sentence. It's a perfectly good sentence. Let me write another sentence on the board. Abdul has eaten lunch at 12 o'clock. Okay, so go from here to here. Abdul has eaten lunch at 12 o'clock. Abdul has eaten lunch at 12 o'clock. I'm going to ask you the same question about this sentence. Take a moment and think about this sentence. Is this sentence a good sentence in English? Does it follow the rules of grammar? Abdul has eaten lunch at 12 o'clock. See if you know. Play it in your mind. See how it sounds. What do you think? Abdul has eaten lunch at 12 o'clock. Good sentence in English or not so good? Take a moment. Pause the video if you want to pause, if you want some more time to think. Okay. Here's the answer. This is not a good sentence in English. I cannot say the time. When I use present perfect with no length of time, I cannot say the time in the past. Okay? So with past, if I want to say the time, I need to use past. If I use present perfect, I cannot say the time in the past. If I use present perfect without a length of time, I can't say at 12 o'clock or last Tuesday or in 1992 or when he was a child. I cannot say the time when I use present perfect without a length of time. Remember, the meaning of present perfect without a length of time is it happened in the past, but the time is not clear. If I say the time at all, if I say at 12 o'clock, or last January, or even when he was in high school, which is not a very exact time, but when he was in high school, then I can't use the present perfect. So Let me say that point again, then let me write it on the board. If I want to say the time, I need to use a past tense, like Abdul ate lunch at 12. If I'm using present perfect with no length of time to show it happened in the past, but the time is not clear, then I cannot use a length of time. I cannot do that. So, let me make a note over here. Abdul is eating lunch at 12. So, when I use present perfect with no length of time, I cannot, I cannot tell the time. I cannot say the time in the past. In other words, I can't say last week. I cannot say at 5 o'clock. I cannot say when he lived in Berkeley. Okay? So if I use present perfect without a length of time, I cannot say the length of time. If I want to say the length of time, I need to use simple past. So, that is one difference between simple past and present perfect. Oh, by the way, sometimes I tell my students, and I'm just kind of half joking, but a lot of students don't like present perfect because they think like, I don't like this verb tense, it's got more than one meaning. I'd rather avoid it. If you want to avoid using present perfect or present perfect without a length of time, then the easiest way to do it is say the time. If you say the time, you can't use present perfect. You have to use simple past. So if you're thinking, should I say, I have finished the test, or I finished the test? If you say, at 2 o'clock, then you have to say, I finished the test at 2 o'clock, because I can't say at 2 o'clock. I have to use it with I have to say I finished, simple past, the test at 2 o'clock. Because I can use time, I can say the time in the past with simple past, with finish, but if I say I have finished the test, I can't say it too. So if you say the time, then you know, oh, I have to use a past tense. Okay? You could use simple past, past progressive. You could also use some of the past perfect tenses, but we won't talk about those now. Okay, so let me see. I think that's everything I want to say in this video. Let's review, and then I'll talk a little bit about what I want to say in the next video. So, we learned in the videos before, when I use present perfect, and I use a length of time, like I have been making this video for 20 minutes, or for 19 minutes, then I have been making, I have made, wait. Sorry, can't do that example. If I say, I have worked on this video for 20 minutes. If I say, have worked, present perfect, and a length of time for 20 minutes, or since, on my time, 6:45, then it means the action started in the past, continues to now. So I started working on the video in the past, and I have continued working on it until now, and I'm still working on it. So when I use present perfect with a length of time, it means it starts in the past, continues till now. When I use present perfect with no length of time, it means it happened in the past, it's finished in the past, but the time is not clear. Okay? And One big difference between present perfect and simple past is, when I use present perfect with no length of time, I cannot say the time in the past. But I can say the time when I use past tense. Okay, in the next video, we're going to talk about, you're probably wondering, okay, I see a difference, but when do I use present perfect with no length of time? And when should I use simple past? And that's what we'll talk about in the next video. Thanks.